Good morning. We are a part of the NAU social media team, and we are here today to talk to you guys about social media best practices. Whether it's using social media to encourage others or lift them up, or managing your own usage to ensure your own health and happiness, we have the tips for you. But first, let's start off with some introductions. Hi, my name is Megan. I'm a strategic communication major, and I'm a senior graduating in May.
Hi, my name is Carrington. I'm a grad student. My major is rhetoric, writing, and digital media studies. I'm also graduating in May. We also have two interns that weren't able to be here today, Carla and Katie. It's these guys right here. But they do have videos inside this presentation.
And then hi, I'm McKinley. I'm a freshman and I'm majoring in marketing and minoring in communication.
Hi, I'm Susanna. I'm a first-year marketing student, and I'm expected to graduate in 2025.
All right. So today we're here to talk to you about some healthy, simple, quick and easy everyday practices that you can take to make yourself feel better both online and offline. The first step to doing that, though, is to start reflecting on your current social media behaviors. So I say we do that now. So if you could please pull out your phones real quick, we are going to take a quick little poll. So what you'll do once you have your phones out is you can either use your camera app to scan the QR code on the screen, or you can type that link into your browser. And I'll just wait a couple seconds. And then maybe if you want to give a thumbs up when you got it, we'll get started. All good? All right. All right, so first question, we got 30 seconds. What words come to mind when you think of social media? This is the fifth question, actually, but looks like we've got phones, informative, fun, Instagram, communicative, hashtags, comments, engagement. Great words. All great things. Yeah, it looks like a lot of positive things as well. Awesome. Let's actually go to the first question. There we go. All right. So how many hours a day do you think that you spend on social media? Awesome. So it looks like we're getting about 4 to 5, maybe a little less, maybe a little more. Great. Next question, what platform do you find yourself spending the most time on? TikTok, me too. A couple Instagram. All right. And are these any of our favorite platforms, or just ones we spend the most time on? And favorite? Yeah. All right. Awesome. All right, third question. Do you use social media before you go to bed? You got a couple options here. Lots of yeses already. Some stopping an hour before they sleep. It's always a good thing to do. I use it right before I fall asleep. And next question, is social media the first thing you check in the morning? All right, so we got a couple different answers. Some people get out of bed first, some people wait or don't check it at all. A couple people right when they wake up. Awesome. All right, so I hope you're able to kind of reflect on your usage in this poll, but now we will get back to our presentation.
Alright, so we're all members of the Lumberjack community, and as members of this community, it's important to support our fellow Lumberjacks, not just physically, but also in a digital space. So, to remind you guys to be social every day, we created this acronym, social. The S stands for swipe up, save, and share. O is for original content. C is for content and collaborating with others. I is to interact with accounts you follow. A is ask questions and answer questions. And L is like, post daily, and spread the love. So some best practices for engaging and sharing of each other's content include engagement, actively go through your feed, don't be a passive scroller, leave likes, comments, share posts from campus partners and accounts who are helpful for you, participate in polls and quizzes, join live streams, ask questions during Q&A sessions, send stories to people that might apply to them, screenshot stories and repost them to your stories, tag accounts, support your friends, family, and this just makes your social media and others more active. Tagging people on accounts is great. Leaving feedback such as, oh my god, you did an awesome job on, like, there's a football game or something, like, oh my god, you played awesome today, like, we just love what you did. Leave feedback, explore other accounts, don't be afraid to also interact with these DMs. It's just, hi, my name is blah blah, I'm with NAU, and I think what you're posting is great, and it really motivates me and keeps me uplifted during the day. So a lumberjack tip, we always recommend to take a 1-minute coffee break and do one social activity from this list. So if you guys don't mind, I would like you guys to pick out your phones and do like just one thing from this list. We usually recommend doing 15 minutes, but right now we're just gonna have you pick your favorite one. You guys, you good?
Alright. So now that we've talked about what we can do for others on social media, it's time to talk about what we can do for ourselves. What we choose to do on social media can greatly impact our mental health, but the impact doesn't always have to be negative. Social media can absolutely have a positive influence on your life, but only if you let it. Alright, so when thinking about making a positive change to your social media habits, there are a couple questions you can ask yourself. Number 1, are you a poster or an observer? Number 2, what sort of content do you like? And number 3, when do you find yourself scrolling the most? For me and my social media, I'm usually an observer more than I am a poster. I think I would like to be a poster, but I genuinely just like going on social media to check out what other people are posting, to keep up with my family, and whatever. The content I like, I put up on this screen here. I really like cooking videos. Does anyone else like to watch cooking videos? Yeah. Yep. I like to keep up with my family. Like I said, that's a picture that my mom posted of my dog. I love when she does that. And lastly, I do enjoy a good funny post or video from time to time as well. I often find myself scrolling in the morning and at night. I try to stay away from it during the day, but sometimes that doesn't happen. But as long as you're staying healthy about it, I think it's all good. And now we will have one of our interns, Katie, talk about her experiences.
So the social media user that I am is a mixture of both a poster and an observer. So the way that I'm a poster is that I post when there's a fun memory that comes up, like something in my sorority, or if I feel a particularly cute image. However, most of the time I'm an observer. I really like to see what kind of trends there are, how people adapt that trend to different genres and ideas. And I really like to use it to stay in touch with people that aren't currently in my life and just kind of stay updated on them. Overall, I'm a very busy person, so I like that this is a way to stay involved with people without having to constantly reach out and maybe even forgetting to answer back, just because sometimes that happens. I also really like the creativity aspect of it. I like seeing what people can do with an idea, a trend, and then how they incorporate it into a certain genre that they enjoy.
So every now and then we can develop bad social media habits. It happens. It's normal. So now we're going to go over how to keep those bad habits in check so we don't burn out. So social media is supposed to be a way to stay connected with your friends and family, see what cool is happening, see what cool things are happening in the world, but it's not always the case. If every time you hop on social media and you feel anxious, sad, or depressed, it might be time to have a self-check moment and just reevaluate what you're looking at, what you're liking, who you follow. Some tips we included to make sure we can just have ourselves in check is to focus on our real life friends, focusing on those real life conversations, and using social media as a secondary tool to nurture your real life relationships. Limit the time you spend scrolling. Follow people or pages that uplift you, and unfollow, block, and mute any content that bothers you. And instead, choose to follow things and people that make you happy. When you're out and about, make sure you're living in the moment. When you're doing something fun, don't worry about having the perfect picture or just living in the moment is really important. I think that's my favorite one. And the last one is to take a break. If you notice that social media is just too overwhelming, or you're on it a lot, or it's affecting your mood, it's always good to mute, unfollow, block, or even limit your screen time. When I was in the when we're still in the pandemic, but when it was bad and everything was crazy and we didn't know what was going on, there were a lot of accounts that I followed on social media that were just posting a lot of negative stuff that I feel like no one really needed at that time. So I had to unblock, mute, and follow, and it definitely made me feel a lot better. I even kind of just logged out of my accounts for about 2 weeks just because it got to be too much. And just some accounts that I personally like to follow that make me feel happy on Instagram are called The Good Quote, Today Years Old, and The Funny Introvert. They always just bring joy and happiness, and sometimes you learn cool facts and stuff, and that's always nice. Okay, so next we have how to break the cycle of endless scrolling, and Carla has a video for us.
Because it can be so easy to get caught up in social media, it is so important to take breaks and detox. Give yourself permission to unplug. You have the right and ability to choose when and how often you use social media. Here are some tips for a successful social media detox. Number 1, tell people. By telling your friends or coworkers, you can hold yourself accountable. and you're also letting people know you haven't disappeared. Number 2, delete your apps. If you're like me, I struggle to ignore the app every time I see the little icon, and have a trusted family member or friend change your passwords that will only give them over to you after you've completed your detox. Number 3, create folders on your home screen. Putting social media apps into a separate folder creates one extra step you have to take to access them. And one of my biggest tips is monitor your screen time and set limits. There are so many ways to benefit from social media, so as long as you can identify when boundaries should be set, you can establish a very healthy relationship with it.
Alright, so as Carla was saying, we should set time limits and monitor our screen time. So here are some of my tips or things that you might not know that can really help you set time limits and stay away from those apps. You may not know, but there's actually already a preset setting in your phone there's a preset setting that's most likely already in your phone. Most commonly for Apple and Android users, you can actually there is an app time limit you can set in your settings. You can apply this to very specific apps, setting anywhere from a time limit from 10 minutes to a few hours. It's really helpful because it can use as a reality check. That's an outside source. That's not a typical post telling you. It's not a typical post telling you stuff. It's an actual break, and you cover your screen oftentimes and notify you saying, hey, you've been on it for too long. You want me to remind you in an hour or even in a few minutes that you've been on it for too long? It's absolutely amazing. I even recommend it, and I have even set to some of my apps on social media. Another one that you might not realize that is a really big thing is notifications. They're rarely uncommon. It's really common for a lot of to change your notifications as a simple little notification of 1, 2, 3 on anywhere from Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat. It really sets all those pickups for your phone to skyrocket. You can limit your notifications on those to only certain people or very specific apps. I find that it can be used for only absolutely necessary uses if someone's calling you through social media. It doesn't have to be through a text. It helps you, as I also established, it helps you pick up your phone less. I know on Apple even, it tells you how many times you pick up your phone per day. It's absolutely wild and you don't even realize it. Something similar in settings also is do not disturb and focus mode. Those settings are very between devices, but they're very handy and you might not even realize it. To specify between do not disturb and focus mode, do not disturb actually prevents any notifications coming through, but you can be very specific on what time you set it for, and you can set it so it's every single day at a certain time, or whenever you just decide, I want to be on my phone for 30 minutes. Set it on do not disturb, and you won't be bothered for that time, so you can just enjoy your show without looking at your phone and not paying attention to your show. As for your focus mode, it's very selective. You can choose which apps. Maybe you just want one app or two of the social media apps to just go away. You can do that. It's really simple. Lastly, to notifications and do not disturb and focus mode is actually using your electronics before bed. It's actually really bad. It's actually not great for your sleep cycle to use your bed right before you go to sleep. Usually they all say, many people recommend don't use your phone or any electronics to be specific an hour before you go to bed. Even 30 minutes is a big help to your sleep cycle. It's a big help.
So, I'm going to give you guys some tips on how to use social media intentionally. So the first thing is just monitoring and being mindful of what you're seeing, thinking, and feeling. So when you're scrolling through your feed, just looking at those posts and seeing how they affect your emotions. Another reason is giving yourself a reason to open apps. So when you're bored, instead of turning to social media, which is what I do for sure, I just scroll through TikToks for hours and just mindlessly scroll. Try implementing new practices that are going to be positive and give you a benefit. Like for example, I've been trying to read more books or stretch. So when I'm feeling bored, instead of just clicking on Instagram and scrolling for a while, it's good to implement those healthy habits that will eventually make it easier to stop mindlessly scrolling. And then also, just following accounts that make you happy and curating your content on your feed so that when you open the app, it's a positive space, because social media can get negative really quick. So here are some accounts we've included that just have positive affirmations, positive quotes, and just things that when you're scrolling on your feed and you see them, it's going to brighten your day instead of maybe you making a comparison or maybe an account that posted something that doesn't make you feel great, which can potentially make your day very negative. So just making it so that your feed is something that makes you happy is really important. So another big thing about social media is there's so many things that we can do for our wellness. One thing I really like and got into is like YouTube yoga. We include like a bunch of wellness accounts on the flyer that you can use to potentially make your feeds just more based around wellness and help not scroll mindlessly. But if you guys want to do a little stretch, because you know we're in a conference, you can get up and do some little yoga if you'd like to. Okay, so we just want to start with a deep breath. Hands up above our head. When we let go, we can just go reach down, touch our toes. Leave them there for a sec. Then we're just going to do a halfway lift, so just flatten your back. And roll back over. Dangle those arms. You can just roll up slowly. So that's good. Lift our left arm. Do a little lean. Nice, everyone looks so flexible. Woo! Keep it up. Okay, switch. We'll just hands above the head. Just the other side. You just end one more deep breath and stretch. Yeah, just finding accounts and things that are going to help you when you're scrolling through social media. Just maybe take a break. Like when I see yoga, sometimes I'm like on my TikTok, I'm like, okay, I can like take a break and stretch and just being aware of what's going on. And then next, Carla and Katie prepared some videos for using social media for inspiration and not comparison, so they're gonna take it away.
Use social media for inspiration, not comparison. Cut ties with negative pages or organizations. By this, I'm not only referring to morally negative accounts, but also the accounts that cause you to think negatively about your own life. For example, up until a couple of weeks ago, I followed an influencer who was also a student that seemingly had a perfect life. Every time they posted, I would go look and immediately think, wow, it would be nice to have that. But it's important to recognize that despite them posting all of the good stuff, they could be fabricating their reality or simply just leaving out all of the less glamorous stuff. And that less glamorous stuff is more often than not our reality. It's important to understand we are only seeing what other people want us to see.
I know that this is a very talked about topic and something that many people struggle with on a day-to-day basis. Here are some of my top tips on how to keep a healthy mindset when being on social media. So I love to shop and look at fashion. So my first cardinal rule is to follow people with the same body type as you. When talking to my friends, one of the main ways that gets them down on social media is when they don't look like the influencers that they follow. If you follow people with similar body types than you, you're surrounding yourself with images that are a healthy comparison to yourself, and it's also easier to find clothes. Another tip that I use and try to follow is to follow 1 to 2 accounts that post positive posts, messages, quotes, anything like that. That way when you're randomly scrolling up your feed, you can find something that'll uplift you and give you a little boost for the day. Another thing that I try to do is to turn off notifications on certain apps. I do it specifically on Snapchat and Instagram. This way, I can 1, be more present, and 2, it also lessens my screen time. I started doing these things in high school when I was going through a tough time. This was a way to help me balance putting myself first while also enjoying all the amazing things that social media has to offer.
And then this is just a quote to kind of sum up the idea of what they were talking about, not comparing yourself to others.
All right, so we hope you were able to get something out of this presentation today, but if you have to take away anything, just take away being present and aware and enjoy your day-to-day life. And with that being said, on behalf of the NAU social media team, we would like to thank you for listening and participating in our presentation today. If you want to see more of us, you can follow us on social media, or if you'd like to showcase yourself or a club, you can fill out these forms that we've listed on the screen here, and I do believe they're on the flyer as well. Again, thank you and enjoy the rest of your conference.